What's going on, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. We are back with another episode for y'all this week. And as ever, co-hosting this thing with me is the homeboy Rob.
What's going on?
Today we don't really have so much news to talk about. Just because, beyond coronavirus, and we are going to talk a little bit coronavirus, but not, we're not going to, tell you to go out and, seal up your windows and, or get, or get your vitamin C ready. But we might, because, I made a pretty amazing discovery this week concerning coronavirus, and I just have to share it because I think it's hilarious because I wasn't one of those people to succumb to like this coronavirus hysteria. But I know some people who kind of do, or like specifically and especially in my family. There was that report of that or supposed report of the Korean Airlines stewardess that that came into LA and then visited 23 or so different restaurants in the Koreatown area. It's just like it's like that bitch must have been hungry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I understand if she stopped by like 2 or 3 restaurants, but it's like 23. You're stretching. You're really grasping at straws here.
Yikes.
But yeah. Also, don't we also have our movie review for tonight, and of course, as has become our custom, we have a theme month, uh, and that is it's Irish month. Seeing how it is March, and one of the major holidays, not official, more cultural holidays that goes on in March is St. Patrick's Day. And we'll have little tidbits here and there about St. Patrick and the significance of St. Patrick's Day beyond with beyond the urge to drink to excess.
Yeah.
So sit back and relax and enjoy yourself. You want jump into the comment section and tell us how that we're just a bunch of cultural appropriators, or that or we're completely wrong about the coronavirus.
That's fine.
Right.
If
Yeah,
you
and
want
I
to get
mean,
on.
I might be. I don't think I am, just because of just because of some of the research I've done and keeping my ear to the ground. I think I'm right. But I'm always open to have my mind changed. So
Change my mind.
can't change my mind. Good luck, but you're more than welcome to try.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week, Andy. Not necessarily a whole bunch going on. I did a bunch of shopping for food shopping the last week or so. Just I've been trying to make more food at home, which has been fun. So kind of trying to keep my culinary skills up. Not as good as yours, obviously, but they're all right. I do okay on a few things.
Who can?
But actually, it was this past Saturday. I made food for some of my coworkers, and it's a Hungarian dish, chicken paprikash. I made that.
I've had your chicken paprikash.
Yeah,
It's
it
good.
was. Yeah, it's. Uh, Everyone loved it at work, so I had no
Nice.
leftovers, so that's always a good
Or is
thing.
it the fact that it was just free food?
It could have been both. I mean, free. Hey, I'm not gonna argue with free,
Hey,
but
there's nothing more delicious than free food.
true. But not everything always gets eaten with no leftovers. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that it was tasty as well.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
remember for my friend's birthday, he smoked up some brisket and ribs, and he asked me to make some mac and cheese, and so um, I did, and it was a rousing success. Um,
oh yeah, that's
so
right. You told me about this mac and cheese.
yeah, and then for Super Bowl, um, for our church, he smoked up some briskets and some ribs. Oh no, this time he did pulled pork.
Oh,
Um, but then he asked me to do mac and cheese again, and I was able to fancy it up a bit. Tried a different recipe, used three different cheeses, um, and utilized a few more spices. It turned out wonderful. As much as he was being complimented for his barbecue, I was getting complimented for my mac and cheese.
nice.
So so pat myself on the back here. Um, yeah, I mean, but what all of a sudden made you want to cook more at home?
Just a way to save money.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I can just that way, like it's just more of a something I can do. I can kind of pre-create my lunches for work. I have stuff for dinners that don't necessarily take too long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm kind of eating a little bit healthier than I would be if I was going out to eat.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one of the struggles for being a bachelor is or just a single person in general. But the temptation is just all too uh, real and strong to just instead of cooking yourself something at home but to go and order something or go out to a restaurant and grab a bite. My sister who lives on her own, uh, has told me many times, and I've been over to her place, and like her cupboards are bare practically. Um, except for like a few bottled waters and maybe a six pack of soda or two. Um, but yeah, I mean I get it too. When I was out, uh, during school when I was living outside of home, um, I was barely making dinner for myself at my apartment. It was just like I was too tired, or I was just like I didn't feel like going out to the store to get ingredients, and so yeah, it was just much simpler to just go buy something.
Yeah, I mean that's being honest, like I'm trying to get away from that if I can. Not because I don't like going out because I do. Um,
Right.
but no, I'm just trying to get away from that, and I've been having a lot more fun. Just kind of refreshing some of my culinary skills, and was that I made yeah, so I did that for work. But I also I've been I make like sandwiches and stuff for myself with a salad for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I like bought some meat from the Korean market, which I made,
Mm-hmm.
um, for like dinners and stuff,
Right.
as well as Well, I tend to make my ramen type of kind of fancy. I
Mm-hmm.
add like a bunch of like I add mushrooms, um, green onions, eggs, and like spam or some other type of meat in my
Mm-hmm.
ramen.
Mm-hmm.
So if I so sometimes I'll have that. Um, what else did I buy? I bought some other stuff too, for dinners and stuff. Oh yeah, and I have stuff for breakfast. I have a bunch of eggs and sausage and bacon and all that type of stuff.
Mm.
Which reminds me, I need to cook that bacon so I can have some stuff for my sandwiches as well. I bought like one of those family packs of bacon so I could have like some for breakfast, but also have the some more for sandwiches. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't cook that today, but I that's kind of what I try to do.
Right. Yeah, I didn't have to go into work today, and so I wish I had woken up early enough uh, to make pancakes, but I didn't. I mean, not to say that I woke up so late. I woke up like around 8:30 this morning. Um,
We were waking up about the same time.
okay. Um, yeah, but I was what was it? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I woke up at 8:30 and I could, and and then my boss. It still wasn't decided whether or not I was going to come in today, but my boss did text me and say not to come in that morning, but to go and come in to work the next day. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I had the day, and I could have I could have made pancakes, but instead I just decided to make scrambled eggs. Um, and like truly like scrambled eggs, and not just uh, you know uh, like that thick kind of like almost brick that people tend to make when they try to make scrambled eggs.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah, it's like because like they don't move it around enough.
yeah,
You know
exactly. You
that
want
tends to what, especially in the beginning, like you have to get you have to start off early to get start developing those curds.
exactly. You want your
Yeah,
your scrambled eggs nice and fluffy.
right, exactly. And use butter, all right. Don't be a little bitch. Don't worry about trans fats or whatever. Just use butter.
Oh yeah, you gotta use butter.
Gotta use butter, all right. Never, all right. Always, without exception, especially
You
for
know,
scrambled eggs.
something that also like if you add just a touch of water in there,
Mm-hmm.
it makes them even more
Fluffy.
fluffy.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
instead
because
of using
I guess
instead
yeah,
of
because of the
milk,
steam. Because of the steam.
instead of milk, use water.
Mm. Yeah, and so I was able to make like these really nice, fluffy, very pale, perfect scrambled eggs. It's not like the creamy kind of scrambled eggs, but it's just it was just right.
Ooh, both of those sound really good.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to learn how to make a French style omelet.
That's something I haven't figured out quite how to do yet. Um,
Right.
I just
Well, for
I always I can't get that the right omelet consistency yet, and I haven't figured it out.
right. I mean,
Someday,
through my own research and attempts, you know, you kind of want to start it off like scramble, developing those curds, but not so much so that it starts solidifying. You still want to get those curds, but then you also want still enough liquid egg to remain and like cover the bottom of the pan.
yeah,
Yeah. And then after that, you kind of well, from what I've tried, I take it off, take it on, or I take it off and I put it back on the heat, just like to try to control the temperature. And then what I like to do is try to get the curds to come down to one side of the pan. So then that way, when I eventually do like the trifold, the weight is already there in it to especially like within like the wall of the pan, to get it over to get it to flip over more easily. Um, I've only done one successful French style omelet, but I still haven't perfected it. It's
Yeah,
because for
I
that it's all about the technique. Because it's a fairly straightforward dish, so it's all about mastering the technique.
yeah, it's not a technique I've mastered quite yet myself.
Yeah,
So
which is also pretty hard because in my research, they recommend that you jostle the pan with one hand and then take the spatula and to develop the curds, which in my case is kind of difficult. uh,
come on, Andy.
I know, but I've tried to augment the technique by like holding the pan with both hands and then having the spatula in my mouth and kind of trying uh, to jostle and develop curds that way. Um,
Yeah,
uh, mixed results on that. I don't know. Maybe I have to find a way. I don't know. Maybe I could utilize rubber bands and secure the spatula on one hand, and then attempt to jostle the pan with the other free hand because the way because I can grip slightly with my left a little bit. So I think that might be the solution.
yeah. I mean, it's your situation would be definitely tough to accomplish that, but
Yeah, I
when there's a will,
mean,
there's a way.
yeah, but it's funny because it's like there's very few moments where it's like I can't do that. It's I have a harder time figuring out what I can't do than thinking about what I can do. Cause I
Right.
can pretty much do damn near everything. But I really have to take stop and concentrate and think about what it is I can't do.
Yeah, yeah. You're to be honest, like yeah, because I've known you for quite a while now, but I'm always amazed. It's like I always forget that it's like, oh yeah, that's right. You don't have hands.
Right? I
You
know.
know,
Yeah, because a lot of times there are some things that require like a little bit of multitasking or simultaneous hand use. And I
right.
can't do that, and so I would call out to friends. I was like, "Hey, can you help me?" And they would be like, "Why?" And then
Yeah,
I, and then
yeah.
and then I kind of have to be like, Why do you think?" And they're like, "Oh, Jesus," It's like,
It's like, oh
Andy,
shit, that's
they
right.
say, and they always tell me, it's like, Andy, I forget sometimes that you're handicapped.
It's like, oh shit, that's right. I forgot.
Like, that's right, you're a cripple. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. What is it? A paraplegic friend of mine used to always say to me that, like, Andy, you're too high functioning.
Yeah.
Or yeah, you're too high
Well, like,
functioning. You're too high functioning to be considered a cripple.
because there was it. There's sometimes where like I'll give you a beer, but it's like it's not a twist off,
Uh huh.
and you look at me, it's like, oh yeah, shit. Let me. So I'll open it for you.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's not as though I can't, use a bottle opener myself. Those are just times where I just want to milk it.
Yeah, it's like give me those puppy dog eyes. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, let me get that for you, Andy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was explaining uh, my friends who had helped me get my job, they were asking me about how work was because again it was my first week last week, and they asked me how's it going. You know, am I hating the job already? And I'm just like, no, I'm good. You know, I don't hate the job. You know, which is not to say that I don't enjoy it. You know, it's really nice. Like, you know, it's to me, it's like it's as though like I was a dog that was inside the house for a really long time, and then finally I get to go out and like run around and pee on trees.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so that's kind of what how it feels to me to be working again. You know, I'm just that dog that's been inside, you know, for a real long time, and I finally get to get out and I get to run around. You know, I sniff all the things and pee on all the trees. Um, so it's been pretty enjoyable.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
mean, ask me 6 months down the road and see how I feel. You know, once I get the hang of my job, you know, I might start, you know, really hating it and cursing out the clients. Uh, but right, but they can't say anything to me because I'm crippled and they, you know, I'll throw their ableist privilege in their faces.
Exactly. What else? What else did I do this weekend? Oh well, I not that it's part of our movie reviews, but I there's a Alfred Hitchcock film that I've seen a few times now that I watched with my parents because you know occasionally we'll watch movies together, and I showed them the movie Rope, which
Show them what?
is the movie Rope
Oh,
by Alfred Hitchcock. And you know, if you've ever seen the movie Birdman, you know, it's kind of it's this movie, the cinematography. This is the inspiration for Birdman. The just the one
mhm.
continuous shot,
Right, right, right,
and
right.
you know, it's almost like watching a stage play in a little in a way. And so it's just you know it's kind of a unique story. The cinematography is really interesting. It is really great, and you get there's a great performance by Jimmy Stewart. He's the he's not the main character, but like he's kind of like the you know it's kind of weird because you have the two you know I guess they're considered the main characters, but they're the bad guys and Jimmy Stewart's character is, you know, technically the antagonist, but he's the good guy. So you know, it's kind of a weird place how the characters are all placed. Um, and so it's like, yeah, the protagonists technically are the bad guys, where the antagonist is technically the good guy. And so you're kind of like, I don't know who to root for. um, but yeah, no, it's a great movie. Saw that with my parents, and then watched some Mystery Science Theater 3000 with them as well. And man, some of these movies are like they're so bad, but it's the way that they're made fun of is just it makes it enjoyable to watch.
Right, because sometimes it's more fun to rag on something, you know, than to actually like sit through and try and to pretend to try and enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, like I was watching one yesterday. I don't know if you've ever seen the or heard of the movie Birdemic.
What was that?
Have you ever heard of the movie Birdemic?
Birdemic?
Birdemic. So
Birdemic.
instead of like
Okay.
so
Oh, okay.
instead of
Instead of
pandemic,
pandemic or
it's like
epidemic, it's
birdemic.
birdemic. Okay. Kind of like Sharknado.
Um,
Not in terms of the plot or premise, but just like in terms of like the kind of the combination of you know two words to make a new one.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, a little
Okay.
bit. I would say that Sharknado is, it should be nominated for Best Picture over
Okay. Citizen
Birdemic.
Kane compared to Birdemic.
Yeah, God, it's so bad. But I was watching the kind of the Mystery Science Theater 3000 guys make fun of this film,
Mhm.
and it's just it was perfect. It was, guys, this movie is so bad. I've never seen such horrible acting in my life, and so it's just, I'll have to send it to you. It's really funny.
Yeah, please do. Please do. I'd enjoy a good laugh.
Yeah, this one, yeah, you'll laugh at this, and especially because it's I don't know if they had a, like, if for in that film, if they had, like, if they were sponsored by, or something, like, because they kept making references to the Al Gore's movie, The Inconvenient Truth, or An Inconvenient Truth. They
Mm-hmm.
talked about that film they talked about that movie several times within the film. It was just like, so I don't know if this was like a movie that was sponsored by Al Gore in some
Mm-hmm.
way, but I was like, it's terrible. It's so bad.
Wait,
I mean,
they
Al
in
Gore.
in the movie Birdemic, they would constantly reference Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth.
Yeah, they'd either reference the film or aspects of, like, some of the talking points of the film.
I see. Okay. Yeah,
You'll see
or
a scene like
or
it.
maybe there was just they were just. I mean, was this movie like were the actors fairly serious?
Oh, it was meant to be a serious film.
Okay.
Yeah, this is meant to be like some sort of, like, homage to, like, the Birds,
Hmm.
and to, kind of this leftist, kind of green.
So is it like birds mixed with Outbreak?
Yeah, I would say that that's kind of what they were going for, and
Okay.
they were just it was just awful.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm guessing that there are some pretty cringe performances.
Oh God, yeah, it was so bad. It's so bad. It's laughably bad.
Uh, oh man, yeah. I mean, every once in a while, like I like a good dose of cringe.
Oh yeah, if you're
Just
looking for
just to kind of
cringe, this is.
refresh the system a bit. There's nothing like it. It's like taking a double shot of of bourbon.
Yo, yeah, no, this is. If you're looking for cringe, this is your film.
All right, Birdemic. Uh,
Yeah.
Look it up, folks. Uh, all right. Okay, let's. I mean, there's not really stories, but let's get into some of the things that we kind of planned on talking about, but not really. Um,
Well, do you want to get into what you were talking about with the coronavirus?
sure, why not? Good as good a place as any to start. Um, right. Some of you out there may be familiar with Corona, or at least like the name Corona. Because it's all people have been talking about on the news, talking about such and this many people being infected, this many people dying from it. The the panic induced by this sickness is not unparalleled. Because there have been uh, these kind of alarmist health uh, diseases that have sprung up, you know, since forever. But I don't know. For some reason, it just seems more. the frequency which is happening seems to be getting tighter and tighter. I mean, you had bird flu, swine flu, SARS, MERS, Ebola again. Uh, and right. Yeah, and it's just like and even like not, and even the electronic quote unquote viruses like Y2K, that was like a huge thing when it wasn't even a virus. Like someone created, it's just a lack of foreplanning on the part of the programmers of old computers, where it's like, oh, like instead of having it actually count down or actually go by uh, switch over to the year 2000, it'll just reset back to 1900. Um,
It's so stupid.
it's so stupid. It's particularly well. I understand like those old machines with like the physical tickers and stuff. I understand that. But for
Yeah.
but for computers and stuff, you'd think it would just be a logical extension for like the calendar to just keep going, and not reset itself and think that it's the year 1900.
Yeah, back when that was going on, I was a kid and I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah, no, I mean my dad was kind of freaked out a little bit, and and he knew a guy that had a pool that he had stopped getting it like cleaned or at least chlorinated. So in case something did happen, his family would have a source of water. Um,
That's so edgy.
yeah, I mean that happened. That happened.
Oh my god.
But of course, Y2K came and went just as SARS and bird flu and swine flu and all the flus came and went. But now we have coronavirus. Um, and at first, and like all the other diseases that came before it, it mostly originated from China. Um, and there was an immediate reaction from the government, like killing off pigs, killing off birds, destroying tens of thousands of livestock. Oh yeah, mad cow. That was another one. Mad cow. I just remembered.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
but ultimately, I don't know any. I can't. I mean, this is just me, but I personally don't know anyone who's affected by any of those diseases. Personally.
True.
And I'm pretty sure most people can say the same. Um, which brings us back to coronavirus. They keep saying like, oh, 600 people died. 44 people are infected in California, or there's a case of it in, there's one solitary case in New York, or and so on and so forth. It's funny that they never give the names. I found, you know, they
That
always they
is
always tell
weird.
you they always tell you how many people died or how many people are affected, but they never give you names. And when someone is killed in a car crash, they release the name, but not for any one of these diseases.
It's weird. It's like it's kind of one of those things like you know that in your head, but then you don't until someone says it. It's like, oh yeah, fuck, you're right.
Exactly. Like no, they never release the names of these people who have died of these diseases. And it's just like, why not? You release the names of people who get clipped by cars or fall off of buildings. but
Like
not
I
for
understand if
this.
it's like I understand if it's kids, but like supposedly these are adults that are dying of this. So
Right? And that's the other thing about this is that all these diseases they always kill off the elderly and the infirm.
yeah,
Without exception, the first victims are always the elderly or the infirm or the immunocompromised people.
yeah,
You know, but they always buried that. Like the recent reporting of coronavirus in Washington State. They talked about how like four people. I don't know if they died, um, but they are all members within a senior living community.
I think that would be interesting for people to know.
Right, exactly. And it's like, and it's also this happens to strike in the middle of flu season.
That's the other thing where it's like, yeah, it's because it supposedly has all the same symptoms as the flu, and we're at the height of flu season. So it's like, are these people dying of the flu? Are they dying of this disease? And are the numbers of flu deaths being used like, oh, well, it's coronavirus, and so what would normally be just seen as the someone dying from the flu, because because of those issues, because they're extremely old, they don't have a good immune system, or what have you. Um,
Right.
are they just kind of tying these numbers up, and the actual number of cases of real people affected by what's going on, is it being inflated from something else?
Hmm. Right. Um, like like you were saying, how like they sometimes they just like conflagrate all the numbers of like regular flu people and like and like coronavirus people. They they whenever they come out with they report on this new sickness, there's always like some like differentiating number. Like there was the H1N1, the H1N like N3 and whatever. But but for coronavirus, they just call it coronavirus. And like because I think people have never. I mean, I guess out people outside of the medical profession have never heard it before, right?
Right.
So it's not so it's because it's something that they never heard before, so it sounds scary. But just some doctor people I know, or not. Well, I mean, my cousin's a doctor, and I haven't really got a chance to talk to her about this. But she's an OBGYN too. But she did she's done her residency and things like that before going into her specialty, so she could definitely speak on it. Uh, but a lot of like doctor YouTube channels that I saw, have seen, they talk about how like coronavirus is pretty common, um, and how it's really not that unique or special, um, and to highlight and just something that came across my desk, as it were, is this clip. Is this clip. And we will be sharing it with you. Luckily, it doesn't have any sound, so we're not going to be dinged by copyright or whatever. But plus, I know the person who run. I'm familiar with this person, so they don't really care. Tabor's Encyclopedic Medical Dictionary.
Okay.
Let's take a look. I have here coronavirus.
One of a group of viruses morphologically similar, either sensitive and containing RNA, that are responsible for some common colds. They are so named because their microscopic appearance is that of a virus particle surrounded by a crown. Very interesting.
Right, the common cold. The common cold.
Very
You know,
interesting.
everyone's freaking out. Saying everyone's freaking out about how this is the end of the world, and
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of course, everyone's. I think
yeah. And I
people
mean,
want
I understand to a point, because we never heard of this thing called coronavirus, but obviously people in the medical field do. I mean, it's in a freaking medical dictionary.
Yeah.
So this isn't like some new thing that was just recently. I mean, and to that point, they a lot of like those Doctor YouTube channels have stated as such, saying like, "Oh, coronavirus isn't new. It's been around." Um, and I understand, and I understand that that mutation is a thing, maybe. And maybe this coronavirus mutated in a specific way that that has become more virulent. Okay, I'll grant that premise.
Right.
But also doctors acknowledge that what is it? There are many different viruses that cause the common cold, and that one pathogen that affects one person is completely different from the other person. So it's already understood that coronavirus or whatever has mutated like so far that it's basically an exercise in futility to find a cure for.
Right. The yeah, it's that is very interesting. It's for the medical community knows quite a bit about what's kind of like what's going on with this,
Mm-hmm.
but the people who keep like sounding off about this stuff aren't medical professionals for one.
Mm-hmm.
Which I always, and anytime this happens, it always seems like you get a bunch of politicians or activists or whatever talking about a whole bunch of stuff, and it's like, yeah, but you're not a doctor. You don't really know what's going on. Because whatchamacallit, when it came to this stuff, was it Stefan Molyneux had on? He had a doctor over from Hong Kong talking about what this is, and um, kind of like discussing this, and uh, he's kind of coming to the same, kind of some of the conclusions that we are. It's like, we don't really know. This could be just like a stronger form of, like this virus is like you kind of like a really strong version of the flu. Um, there's been speculation that it was something that China was doing some medical testing, and something they were testing got somehow released into um, from the medical facility. There's been all
Right.
sorts of speculation,
Right,
but
because yeah,
when it
like the facility that they were like testing or studying this particular virus was right next to or within a stone's throw away from this like world famous meat market,
right,
particularly one that specialized in like the more exotic fare. And so, a
yeah,
lot of people were, concerned that, did the lab release these, contaminated animals or sell these contaminated animals to the market, or was, did one escape and was able to was allowed to mingle with, the animals from the market, or or was it intentionally released, by the Chinese government? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like, are those things related or are they not related? That's, yeah, that's something that, because people are saying, oh, well, people were eating bats, and because they were eating the bats, then they got sick and they spread this disease, and it's like, oh, what? It's like, I maybe, but I don't know about that. Um, and that the one thing I think that causes the hysteria is because I don't think a lot of people have figured out where it's coming from. They don't know necessarily how it's transmitted.
Hmm.
If it's just, but a lot of people, it's like, if you just, make sure you keep washing your hands, you don't touch your face, um, don't necessarily, be in cramped spaces and with people, and um, kind of all the same things that we teach kids here of, like, how to, don't sneeze on people,
Hmm.
all
Yeah,
all
cover
those
your
sorts of
mouth
things.
into your elbow and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right. Um, Now, if the people who have legitimately died from this, like, that's, I'm not, I don't want to come off as, denigrating to them, because that's,
Right.
it's
Yes.
awful. It's a tragedy. The people in Wuhan are quarantined away from everyone else. And in cases, I've been reading stories and articles about how, yeah, there's been family members that have been essentially separated because, like, someone, went out from Wuhan before the quarantine, and then they got locked out. And, it's kind of, so you have, like, those stories too. Or, there was several cases of people who were sick in Wuhan who, their family members weren't able to go and see them, and some of the people ended up dying. Um, and yeah, that's really sad. Um, so I don't want people to think of, like, oh, you're just, making fun of the dead, and all this. Like, no, it's just what we want to do is not to create, because creating hysteria and freaking out about stuff doesn't help.
Right. Yeah. Well, because
So
yeah, what we're trying to do is alleviate the fear,
yeah,
because like how you were saying, like you have doctors on TV saying, oh, this is the most deadliest thing that we've ever seen, and blah 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 blah. They're peddlers of the fear. Those doctors that you see on like ABC, NBC, CBS, all the alphabets. They're the one. They're part of it. They're the ones peddling the fear. They're the ones that get people. That are getting people to go out to Costco and empty the shelves. Because they think that they need to, hunker down in their houses. They have to cut themselves off from their neighbors, their family. Because of fear of this. Okay, I'm gonna just say it. This virus that all it is the common cold. It's the common cold, because the way that they talk about it, like how it has like a really long incubation period before it, you know, so before the carrier even realizes that they're sick, that's the cold. Like, sometimes I'm around. I remember, when I used to work with kids, like the first month that I worked with them, um, like in like the first 2 weeks, I didn't get sick, and then after that first 2 weeks, because I was exposed to them, and it took me, and it took me, and then because I was working a lot and coming up with lesson plans and whatever, I became ragged, and so my immune system got compromised, and that's when I started feeling sick. That's the same. That's the
yeah,
same. That's the same. What is it? That's the same life cycle as this coronavirus, or so they say. Because they say that people who get infected, they don't realize that they are infected until like 2 or so weeks later. It's like, yeah, that's what happens.
right,
Like, especially if you're especially if you're someone who travels a lot and who doesn't get enough rest, and they become immuno compromised. That's the cold. That's the cold, baby.
right. But like I said, it's, get plenty of rest, make sure you're drinking lots of fluids, water, orange juice, stuff with vitamin
Mm-hmm.
C, washing your hands, kind of, especially after like, being outside with people, or, you're out in like public places, touching doorknobs, whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
wash your hands. Don't touch your face. That's how you protect yourself against the cold and flu. It's the same thing.
Right.
Um, and uh, yeah, it's just, the idea that, the truth shall set you free, and, causing hysteria and creating panic, it's all for someone is making money off of that. That's
Right.
what
Like
it
you
is.
think, like yeah. I mean, if you think that Costco is hating the coronavirus right now, dude. Like if
Hell
you
no.
like, there are images of shelves at Costco that are near bare. That shit never happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like
And like
when I was,
and 3M, the manufacturers of the mask, especially particularly the mask that they recommend that you use, not just like the flimsy medical mask, but like the full on like with the filter kind
yeah,
of mask. Yeah, 3M is
those are
making
gone.
whoever has stock in 3M right now is making bank.
Yeah, I remember like when I was trying to get masks over to China. Yeah, it was a lot of people was kind of doing the same thing because of the panic. People had cleared out the shelves in the physical stores. Online, everything was sold out. And I was able to find some place where I was able to get them. But yeah, what people are doing is they're not getting them for themselves either. What they're doing is like, I'm gonna make money off of this, tragedy, this whole situation. I'm gonna buy these masks up, and then I'm gonna sell them at triple the rate.
Right,
And
right.
that's
They're
all it is.
essentially creating a black market.
Yeah, they're creating scumbag sellers of on the internet, who are then going to gouge people because of the fear that they have. And it's like, well, this mask is only worth, like $5, but I'll pay $100 for it, because no one else has it. And it's like, that's evil.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it starts from the media down. It's evil what these people are doing. And you even have like on the debate stage with these fucking Democratic politicians doing the same damn thing. And it's like, oh, they're trying to use this as a way to, like, instead of um they're all blaming Trump, like, Trump caused the coronavirus. Like, no, he didn't. Was he in China? Was he the one that, like, he, create, in a laboratory in China, whipping
Right.
up
Did he eat the
coronavirus?
bat? Did he eat the bat?
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't
It's
think so.
and it's like, I don't need to hear from screechy voiced, Pocahontas and commie loving Bernie Sanders uh, telling me about coronavirus, because who knows about that, those about this stuff? Not them. They're fucking idiots. Both of them. All these guys are fucking idiots.
Word. Yeah, but if in case I am wrong, I am ready.
Honestly though, like, if and my thing is, like, if I'm gonna die, it's my time to die. If this is what kills me, so be it.
Right, I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. I'm right there with you. I'm you know uh you could die of this supposed virulent disease, or you can walk out your door and get hit by a truck.
Pretty
I
much.
think the odds are pretty much the same. I think the odds of either of those things happening to you are the same. And
Yeah,
uh,
pretty
and
much.
freaking out about it is not going to help you. It's not helping the situation at all.
It's um, yeah, I know my girlfriend's kind of scared about all this, and yeah, she's it's bless her heart because she's been like she's been hearing about the stories of it like coming over here,
Hmm.
and like she's like are you okay, like are you like yeah, have you heard about this? And it's like, and I told her like, don't worry, I'm gonna be here, you know I'm not going anywhere, don't worry. And but she she's worried about me too. The thing is like it's like, don't worry about me, I'm all right. And I'm more worried about what's going on over there because even more so, information is either inaccurate
Right.
or
Inaccurate, skewed, or just flat out lies.
yeah, and that's and that and she's worried, and rightfully so. When
Hmm.
if that's when you're only hearing what's all of that stuff, that's all that's available to you. Yeah, of course you'd be scared. And yeah, but even like whatchamacallit, getting stuff over to that side of the world now is like, God, it's industry is slowed down. Like, it's taking longer to get stuff shipped over there.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, because like all the masks and stuff that I sent over to her and her family are, it's been delayed by several weeks. It's just now it just now arrived in China.
Hmm.
So it's like I said, it's just everything got
Wow,
delayed.
yeah, and you said that a while ago too.
Right, yeah. I sent that at the end of almost 2 months ago now.
Hmm. Wow. You know what you should do? You should send her a video of you licking a doorknob.
But then I have to
Stagger it
write
though.
on.
Stagger it though. Lick the doorknob. Wait like 2 weeks, and then send it to
Yeah, but then I'd have to ride a short bus somewhere. So
her. I know. A buddy of mine is getting married, and he, and I was invited to the bachelor party, and one of the ideas was to go on a cruise, but it was just as the kind of the coronavirus hysteria was just ramping up, and so
yeah.
and this friend happened to be Chinese, so he was the best man was saying like, oh yeah, Albert feels like it's not a good idea to go on a cruise, especially with like kind of not animosity, I guess animosity towards Chinese people.
Well, yeah, that's the crazy thing. That's also because of the hysteria created on the media and whatever, is like you
Hmm.
have people that are beating up like Asian people like out,
Right, right.
or they're or something that like they already hated Asian people, and it's like, oh, now we have a reason. We'll just we'll beat them up and we'll get them out of our area, because of the coronavirus. And it just be they always talk about how they're creating this, oh, we have so much white supremacy. It's like, um, yeah, but you're creating racial tension already with your stupid hysteria that you've created.
Right. But I suggested that we go anyways, and then I'll bust out my fake Chinese and just start coughing like crazy for no reason.
And just everyone will clear out of your way.
Like, don't want to go on. It's like, hawk up a lung.
All right, 5 people on this cruise. Let's do it.
Exactly. Yeah, just because, just to screw around with people. It's just like, it's crazy because, like, it seems like, these super bugs always hit on election years.
Fancy that, right?
Mm-hmm. Hold on, there's a list of. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, because what was it like Y2K? Obviously, that was like 99, 2000 election year. You had God, when was the SARS thing? That was what, back in 2000, like, four.
Hold on. I saw a list, and it was basically. Oh yeah, here it is. All right, 2004 was SARS. That was Bush. Uh,
That was Bush and
this is the
John
re-election.
Kerry.
This is the
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
Bush
Kerry.
Kerry. Avian, which is 2008. That was Obama.
Yeah,
Swine flu. That was 2010. That was an
that
election
wasn't a presidential
represent.
election.
That was House Representatives
Yeah,
election. 2012 MERS. That was Obama again. Again, Ebola 2014. Again, that was for House of Representatives and Senate. 2016 was Zika.
that's
That
right.
was
I
that
forgot
was
about
yeah
that.
Zika. Yeah, me too. Okay, and then Ebola again in 2018. Again, another election year for the House of Representatives. And then this year is Corona.
It almost seems like
Hmm.
that's too much coincidence.
Because it's not. All right. Once or twice is a coincidence. Let me bring up the image and show people.
Yep,
Right there.
I
SARS
think not.
2014, Avian 2008, Swine 2010. All election years.
Man, that's fucking freaky though.
Right. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
But you're right. The thing, you're right. You always hear about how people are dying of it, but we never, especially like, but we never hear their names.
Exactly. I remember I was at church and someone was saying, "Oh, I guess so many people died from coronavirus." And I was like, "Yeah, who?" I said, "Give me a name." And then they like it was like, "Oh, well, 600 people died." Like, yeah, give me their names. I want to I want to write each one of their families condolence card. Give me the names. And of course they can't because they never give you the names.
Yeah, it's great. It's something that's like I know that, but then until like someone actually goes out and says that, it's like you're right, dude.
Exactly. I know it's like that it's that one like cornerstone, the capstone that's like once you pull it out, it just makes everything fall. And you're like, holy crap, you're right.
So it's
They,
like
yeah,
do
because they,
these
they, they, they report on all they report the numbers of people who are infected um, or what is it? Who are infected or who die, but they never give the names.
it's like I don't know about like other countries, but yeah, like they definitely do that when there's stuff like here in the US, because there's people like that are supposedly infected or
Mm-hmm.
that have, I mean, didn't we have like somebody like supposedly die from it here, or a couple people?
I mean, California. I'm not
No,
sure.
I'm just talking about like the out of the whole US.
Oh, United States in general. Yeah, there was I think there was at least four cases in those four cases in Washington State. I think three of them died.
Did they give the names?
Yeah, he got jokes. It says it killed. It says here it killed 9 people in the state of Washington. Korea, there
Nine
in
known
South
cases.
Korea, there's 500 new coronavirus cases. No names.
Not even like one name. Not even like, oh, Bong Joon Ho. He's the first one that got it. It's
That's racist. Just kidding. No, not one. Not one name of any victims.
or in like Korea or any of these places. Jesus Christ, dude. All right, I'm kind of convinced it's all bullshit.
Not one name. South Korea reported 516 new cases of coronavirus on Wednesday, bringing the total number of cases to at least 5,328. At least 28 people have died of this disease in the country, which is currently facing the worst outbreak outside of China. Yeah, but what are the names? Give me the names. I want to write those families' condolence cards. Give me the names. See, it's the key question to ask to make everything fall apart. And that's the question. That for the stuff like this, that's the question. Because they never give names. All right, I think I've sufficiently red pilled Robert on this.
No,
So
no, like I agree with you because there's a great bit by comedian Alonzo Bowden who talks about like um he makes fun of this stuff, saying it's like once they start saying it's like and we're all gonna die, he knows it's bullshit. It's like and he kind of goes through like all these diseases, or it's like, oh the swine flu, it's gonna kill us all. It's like, but I haven't gotten over my SARS yet. Or it's like I
right.
haven't gotten over, and before that, like I was still working on Y2K. It's like, it's like supposedly we were all supposed to die from this stuff, and oh wait, we didn't. And it's like he kind of makes fun of like just the mass hysteria that goes on through the media,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just so I was never in disagreement. It's just yeah, it's just crazy because you don't think about that. You never hear the names.
Exactly. Yeah, we got a comment on D Live. Uh, Username Chad Dirt says, "Talk about the Jews.
Talk about the Jews.
Talk about the Jews." Listen, I love talking about the Jews because I think they're great. I love their loans. I love their wars. It's great. uh, yeah. All right. All right. Let's move on to the uh, next story. I mean, unless I don't know. Let's see.
You want to just kind of dive into the movie because I have a lot to say about the movie.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because we're like already at the hour mark, and so we could just do the next 30 minutes of just the movie.
That works for me, and we can the other stuff that I was thinking about today. We can always move to next week unless something big happens.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And plus, it's not. We still have like 2 weeks until the 17th. So.
Yeah.
All right then. Okay. Let's get into the movie review for this week. And the movie again. The theme for this month is Irish. Um, and the first movie for review is The Quiet Man, starring John Wayne and what's that chick's name? Maureen O'Hare. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that's right, Maureen O'Hare. Quick, let me give you all a quick little synopsis. After accidentally killing an opponent in the ring, boxer Sean Thornton leaves America and returns to his native Ireland, hoping to buy his family's homestead and live in peace. In doing so, he runs afoul of Will Danaher, who long coveted the property. Spitefully, Will objects when his fiery sister, Mary Kate, begins a romance with Sean and refuses to hand over her dowry. Mary Kate refuses to consummate the marriage until Sean retrieves the money. What a gold digging asshole!
Oh boy. Okay, so I want to get this first point right off the bat because it's
All
I
right,
like John Wayne. I
all right. The
like
floor
John
is
Wayne
yours. The
a
floor
lot.
is yours.
I like John Wayne a lot, and we kind of had this discussion about how like Sylvester Stallone, right? He has like a certain like there's a lane that of acting that he is in, and
Mm-hmm.
he is God. He's great at that in that lane. John Wayne has the same thing though. There's a certain lane that John Wayne goes in.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is not that lane.
Right. I think what is it? They describe this movie as like romantic comedy.
So yeah, that's the one thing. It's a romantic comedy.
It's a
Um,
drama romance, but but towards the end, it feels more like a romance comedy.
it has elements of all. It's dramatic romantic comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently it was based off of a Saturday Evening Post article.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like this is. I like this movie, but this is not the lane for John Wayne.
Right.
Because that if like of all the characters, he was extremely out of place. If like he felt so out of place in this whole movie.
Right. I mean, because John Wayne is John Wayne. It's not. John Wayne doesn't ever play a character. He plays the character as John Wayne.
Exactly, because there's
The way he kind of like saunters into a room, the way he says his lines, um, and that's very unique way of his speaking. I think one of the greatest examples of this was when he played Genghis Khan, but he still sounded
yeah,
like
that was
a
another
rancher
movie
from
that was
Oklahoma.
yeah, that was the other one. I was like, he does not belong in this role.
Mm-hmm.
Not because like he's not Mongolian, but it's just like because there's other actors that can kind of pull that off.
Mm-hmm.
Not John Wayne though. Sorry. He like I love like I said, I love John Wayne. I think he's a great actor when he's in his lane. He's not a multi-dimensional actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like just like previously with Sylvester Stallone, he has a specific lane, or there's people who have like an entire freeway that they can inhabit, but Sylvester Stallone is definitely a two lane highway.
Yeah, it's this
Because like because you have like the Meryl Streeps or like the Robert De Niro's, who again are like we're like 8 lane freeways. We're 8 lane freeways. They get flawlessly and seamlessly weave in between the lanes, no problem. But you have Sylvester Stallone, or in this case, you have John Wayne, who are basically 2 lane dirt highway, back roads.
Right, and it's like, and not I'm not trying to piss off John Wayne fans. Is like I said, I like
Right, I
John
love
Wayne.
the
I
Duke.
think
I love the Duke too, in
yeah,
my own
exactly.
unique way.
And I actually like this movie a lot. I actually like this movie. I just think it could have been better with someone not John Wayne as the main character.
Right, and someone maybe who could slightly affect a northeastern accent.
Yeah, because he
Just, I mean,
it
because
is
again, yeah,
true that
because he's
because he is
yeah,
an
because
American. He was born in Ireland, but he was raised in America.
right, but a
He moved.
specific part of America, which is the Northeast, Pittsburgh specifically, I believe.
Yeah,
And so you can't have someone who talks like a ranch hand say that he grew up in Pittsburgh. It just
yeah,
doesn't. It just doesn't. It just doesn't work.
exactly.
I mean, yeah, if he wants to be like the doggy punching, hard ass Marine type character, yeah, go for it. All in. I'll bring the popcorn. But but you want me to believe that John Wayne is this Irish immigrant raised in America, but he talks as though he grew up in Oklahoma, even though you say that he grew up in Pittsburgh. I'm gonna call a foul on that.
It just, it just it if the entire film it was just it was distracting. That's the thing that was like that kept bugging me about the movie. It was distracting.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was trying to put a square peg in a round hole the entire film.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, absolutely. Um, um,
Now, I'm pretty sure what they were going for is because at the time, John Wayne, woo, that's an A-lister, and
right.
because the rest of these people, like, I don't know who any of these other actors
Yeah, the
are,
supporting cast. I had a hard time placing them.
and I'm sure they've done a bunch of other stuff that I just don't know about,
Mm-hmm.
but this movie was a nominated for a bunch of awards. I think it won Best Director and Best Cinematography for that year. But God, it was
And
just it.
actually, and I'm gonna
But
agree with
I
that
think
assessment.
the reasoning because I think was because of the name recognition. Like people went out to go see the Duke. That's why people
Right.
went to go see this
Well,
movie. It's because of him.
right. But in terms of of them winning for kind of these technical things, I think I'm for that. I'm picking up what they're laying down. Um, because there are some scenes. I mean, yes, this was early '50s, and so they were still utilizing that kind of crappy blue screen. Um, to kind of to
Yeah,
maybe fill in some of the shots that they weren't able to do, or the tracking shots of the actors on wagon or on horseback or whatever. But there were very lovely shots that were done, and you could tell they were done physically in the location and at the right time of day, and it was just and it was very beautiful, and it was and it was and it seemed very contemporary, and so I completely wholeheartedly agree with that award that they were given for best cinematography. Um, but being as it was still made in the early '50s, and pretty much still in the it's still in the rough period of Hollywood, yeah, they used those awful blue screens where they projected like the scenery behind them and had that harsh light that came down and was like not realistic at all. Um, but other than that small little gripe, I completely agree with them. When I have no problems with them winning Best Academy for Best Cinematography.
But yeah, it was God, it was like it was John Wayne was like distracting in that film. I think had it been anyone else, it's, someone that could maybe better play that character,
Mm-hmm.
it would have made the movie 100 times better. But like I said, I understand why you want to put like people aren't going to see Shawnee O'Connor play Sean Thornton. They want it's like, oh, John Wayne's in this, cool, like it's and they probably snookered a bunch of guys to go watch this movie. It's like, fuck, it's a chick flick.
Yeah, it's the perfect girlfriend movie. It's like, oh yeah, guys, let's go watch that new John Wayne movie. Oh, John Wayne, absolutely. And the girl's like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah. Oh boy.
It's like that episode of The Simpsons where it's like movie night and Homer picks Paint Your Wagon.
Yeah. I was just gonna mention that. Oh my gosh, yeah. It's like, damn it. Oh boy. Um, it's like, oh, Lee Marvin's in here. He can't get through a scene without killing somebody, and
Right?
then he just starts singing.
um, but yeah, I mean, I think yeah, I did enjoy this movie. It's gonna sound weird, but I really enjoyed the wholesome quality of this movie.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say that too. Um, it is, when you look at it, it's like this is a movie. Well, it was set in the 50s, but it's even like the setting is like you think back in like the you know 20s or so, um, in Ireland. And this,
Mm-hmm.
I think the village name is like some made up name, like Innisfree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a real Irish village.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is a it's telling a story of a bygone era.
Mm-hmm.
Because people don't talk about like this is extremely old fashioned living and thinking.
Right. Um, you say that, but I think it's they might say that it's too simplistic of a lifestyle. I just think it's like it's just simple. It's
Yeah,
like they have these protocols and these rituals and these traditions, like that horse race that they have. That was a village tradition. They got everyone together and they had a good time. They placed bets. And there was and it's able to be used as a contrivance to get two people together. Um, yeah, it was just simple, and everyone knew how the world worked. Even if it was like their small part of the world. Like you had like the whole scene with what's his face, that drunk cabbie guy, Michelin. Yeah, Michelin.
God, that guy was drunk like every scene. It's
Right. Uh, Anyways, yeah, but he was like the village
yeah, Mickle.
matchmaker, and
Yeah, he was essentially the town chaperone.
right, yeah, he was a town chaperone, village, you know, uh, kind of courtship negotiator. He was the mediator to like that you had to go through, and, like, who brought the two parties together and kind of hammered out like the agreement, the terms of the courtship, and yada yada yada.
Right.
Um, right, and he also played chaperone to make sure, like, that the woman was, kept her virtue and all that kind of stuff. And as old fashioned as that may seem, it's also, pretty great, because it's about, like, the entire community takes has an investment in two people coming together.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just like, oh, like, yeah, let them do whatever they want as long as they're not, bothering me. It's like, no, here's two people from our community that, want to come together, and, we want to make sure that it's a success. Because if it's not a success, then, it's going to fracture the community. So,
right, and that's not
we
something
want to
that.
make damn well sure that this is a right match.
Yeah, and that's something that I think is kind of missing today, because it's kind of that idea. It's like, oh, it doesn't, when we like think of something like this giant city that we live in, it's like that would never happen here, just because there's just too many people.
Right.
But
And even in our, like, respective, I guess, like, our own kind of version of villages, the small cities that, make up Los Angeles, and, like, even just like the valley, like, you live in Van Nuys, and I live in Chatsworth, and it'd be like if everyone in Chatsworth got up in my business about who I wanted to date. Like, if I had, like, a
yeah,
neighbor that lived, like two doors down, and, like, the entire population of Chatsworth got involved in my affair. It's like, oh, well, you two kids, we both know that you're great. We want to make sure that you guys are a good fit, and that, you're going to add to our community and not fracture. That it'd be kind of like that.
yeah,
Which, I
and I think
mean,
that's
which a part of me kind of longs for, but maybe not to the scale um, of a small city, but, just having, like, my own community, like like my church community. If I started to date someone at my church, I'm sure they would have, like, the same. They would play a similar role.
right, because it's taking it's caring about the lives of the people within that community, and that they are invested in
Yeah,
those people,
you're investing a
and that they
stake
want
in
them to
a
succeed.
relationship of two people that might already be a part of your community.
Because we, especially nowadays, we live in such a fractured society, and so
Mm-hmm.
many uh, where it's like you look at something like this, and it's like, are we really living a better life
Mm-hmm.
than these people were? It's kind of like, how a lot of people would view a society like that. It's like, ugh, it's so old fashioned.
Right.
It's kind
It's
of,
so backwards.
talking
It's
out their
like,
high
how can they
horse.
stand it?
Yeah, in the but these are also the same people that are constantly talking about how depressed they are, and they've also been, in 5 different relationships in the past year, and they've been divorced twice, and but
Mm-hmm.
yet they're talking about, like, oh, how old fashioned, and how simplistic, and they look down on people like that.
Yeah, it's like it's like that line in Avengers, the first one, when, Captain America is being recruited, and he was, like, saying, like, oh, it's like, oh, the stars and stripes, isn't that a little old fashioned? And one of the agents responds back to him, is like, we could use a little old fashioned right about now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
And so, yeah. I mean, other than that, I really like the supporting characters. Again, Michelini, the, kind of town drunk slash chaperone slash courtship mediator. I thought he was great. It kind of played into like all, kind of played into all the
Irish
Irish
stereotypes.
stereotypes.
He
But
was short. He had the thick Irish accent. He was
right.
drunk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, top of the morning to you, and all that.
Yeah. Always thinking like these Irish shanties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 exactly. Um, and then you had what was it Bill? I guess like the foil to John Wayne's Sean Thornton.
Was Squire Will Danaher.
Yeah, Bill Danaher. Yeah, I love him. How he's like again playing into Irish stereotype, but like the angry fighting Irishman.
Yeah, yeah. It's like he was like literally the Notre Dame,
Yeah, the Notre Dame
mascot.
fighting Irishman mascot. That's exactly Bill Danaher. Um,
Oh,
yeah, and then Maureen O'Hara, who played the sister to Bill Danaher, Mary Kate.
Mary Kate.
Yeah, it's
She
again
was
kind of
great
playing
too.
into the stereotype of the fiery Irish woman.
Yeah, she was an interesting character because there's times where it's like you because one of the interesting aspects of this film is you do have uh, two cultures kind of clashing between them, right? Because
What
you
are you talking
have
about? They're all white people. They have one culture.
oh, you didn't know?
No, you
You
didn't
didn't
know.
know
You
that?
didn't know. Don't you know? They're all white people, so they all have the same culture. Because they're all
Oh,
white
I
people, and all white people are the same. All white people
oh
are a
thank
monolith.
oh man, thank you for enlightening me. I had no idea.
You're welcome. I mean, as a white person,
Thank
I
thank
would think you know this already.
thank you for teaching
Why,
me about my own
why is the
culture.
yellow man telling the white man how things are in his own culture?
uh, but you do have like an interesting culture clash because you have Sean Thornton who is coming like I said he's coming from this boxing career where his last fight he killed a man, and so he doesn't want to get into another fight, in fear that he may end up killing someone, accidentally, of course.
Mhm,
Um, but it's also this kind of the American spirit where there's no dowry system in the United States,
mhm,
uh, and even at that time, I don't think there was any dowry system that was in place. Um, and you have Mary Kate, who is from this very traditional Irish village where they do have these set structures, and Mary Kate keeps going on about her like, no, this is my stuff. This is stuff it's a part of who I am.
mhm.
The her furniture and the gold that is like this is me. It's a part of me, and
Right.
if I
This is
don't have
rightfully my stuff, and it's like the idea that she becoming with nothing to offer her new husband was just completely unthinkable to her.
right, and so for Sean, he's saying it's like, yeah, we don't need any of that, like, because he's a well off man, like
Right.
he was a successful boxer, and he outbid the wealthiest man in town by a lot. So it's like
Right. It was
he
about
doesn't
like yeah,
even want
he outbid Bill Danny here by like $400,
yeah, and
which
that
back
was like
which again set back in probably like late 20s,
yeah.
maybe 30s. $400, that's a lot of money. That's like I think that might be the equivalent of like $10,000 today.
Yeah, and that's a lot of money, especially in that that town.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, I don't need your damn money. I don't need your furniture. I'll give you whatever you need.
Mhm.
Um, and what he didn't understand is that it's like, no, no, this tradition is important. This is like, you married me, but you married an incomplete version of me if I don't have these things.
Right.
And it's like, I cannot consummate this marriage until this stuff is given to me
Or like return
and
to me, or
is
restored to
returned to
me.
me. Right. And she kept calling him a coward because like he wouldn't fight for those things for her kid. And so in her eyes it's like, you're not fighting for me,
Mhm.
you coward. And for him it's like, she doesn't realize that like with him it's like, no, he can fight. He's a strong-willed man.
Mhm.
He just like, he has a fear like, I don't want to get into another fight,
Right.
because I don't want to kill somebody, because if he, let's say he got into a fight with Will Danaher and killed him, that could kind of crush the village,
Right.
or
Exactly.
cause a huge scandal. Uh, on top of fracturing Sean Thorne's mental state, because he's already killed one man.
Right.
Uh, and so yeah, you have this kind of clash of culture, and you have like, obviously you have the clash of kind of like a rivalry slash feud between Thornton and Danaher.
Mhm.
And it's like I said, it's just a kind of an interesting story, um, and ultimately at the end it kind of, it culminates in the end of everything finally kind of working out. Um, but for throughout the movie, you have this tension between Mary Kate and Sean and Will Danaher, and even like to get the marriage proposal set up, they the whole town kind of fibbed to get the whole thing kind of the ball rolling,
Right.
and when
Because
Will,
like the whole reason why Bill Danaher wanted to buy the land that Sean was wanted to buy is because he wanted to get closer to the lady, the owner of that land, who also happened to be a widow. So
right,
he was trying. He was the equivalent would today would be he was trying to slide into their DMs.
yeah, exactly,
But she wasn't having any of that. And so yeah, during the horse race that the town had, people started whispering into Bill Danaher's ear, saying, "It's like, oh, the widow lady, like, yeah, she likes you, but what woman wants to enter a house with another woman in it?" So they were like, so they were even though it wasn't necessarily true that the widow lady had feelings or inclinations towards Bill Danaher, but everyone in the town started to kind of reinforce that. Although Michelini was, yeah, he kind of covered his ass and saying like, oh, I'm not saying it, but I've heard things, uh,
yeah,
you
very
know.
very sly guy.
Yeah, like even like even the priests were like getting involved, and like they were like covering their asses too. It's like, oh, it's like, I'm not saying it's true, but it might be true. And so
Covering their ass, yeah, it's
yeah,
like,
covering their ass. And so um, that's when Bill Danny here changes his mind and it's like, all right, yeah, you could have my sister. And then I think, yeah, after the wedding, he makes his grand announcement, declaring his intention to begin courtship with the widow lady, and she's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" and throws a drink in his face, essentially. And then that's when he realizes that he's been tricked. So he refuses to release the dowry for his sister, which then causes the the aforementioned strife between Sean Thornton and his new wife, and basically new fam and his in-laws, the Danahears.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, obviously that ends up culminating in this very, very comical family feud, which it's like, man, it's sounds like a little bit like my family. Just these constant family feuds, people fighting in their front lawns. Uh,
Right, wife beaters being the usual attire.
yeah. But it was everything like that fight was it's kind of like the typical like fight between guys. It's like they found out that they actually highly respect one another,
Right. Yeah,
and
that was another thing. Yeah, some people might view that scene and be like, oh, that's toxic masculinity. It's like, no, that's just masculinity. Um, sometimes you have to beat the crap out of somebody before you become best friends.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, particularly for men. I mean, that's just the way. Like sometimes it does come to physical blows. But then afterwards, you end up becoming best friends, or sometimes it's just like verbal. You sometimes verbal sparring, where you just kind of like trade insults with each other, and then you're like, hey, this guy's pretty funny. Like this guy's pretty funny too. It's like, let's be friends. Okay, that's and again, that's just masculinity. It's not toxic masculinity. It's not toxic masculinity. It's just masculinity. Um, but yeah, during like this whole kind of almost like Keystone Cops kind of fight, where it's like just like all like wide ranging over the entire village, and they actually take a drink break at the bar. Um,
Yeah. They're getting drunk, they're punching each other, they get drunk some more, and it's
mhm.
like they end up going back to Sean Thornton's cottage, and they drink some more and have dinner. It's like so. It's
And isn't it
and they kind of
hilarious that isn't it hilarious that what is it? Mary Kate seemed the most turned on when Sean was like, like cook my dinner, woman. Kind of being like
yeah,
that very like kind of having that like authoritative volume to his voice. Like he
yeah,
dragged her 5 miles from like sometimes literally dragging her 5 miles from the train
from the train
station
station.
to go and fight her brother, and then it wasn't the finally when they got there is like I'm gonna it's like and he calls Bill Danaher out, and then she's like she gets like all like all moist down there, not to be too crude. Um, but she's but she when she finds out that he's fighting for her honor essentially, she's like she gets again she gets a little wet down there, and all of a sudden she's like, oh I'll have supper ready, and then off she goes running to go make supper for her man.
Exactly. And yeah, it was just it's a fun, quaint movie.
Yeah, quaint. That's a very good word for it. It's a fun, quaint movie, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, despite all the flaws that we had mentioned previously with like the casting of John Wayne and some of the technical things like them using like the blue screen, but overall it was still such an enjoyable movie, and you might and it might be a bit nostalgic and like kind of like the dictionary, or not the dictionary definition, but the more colloquial understanding of the word nostalgic, and longing for what wasn't.
Yeah.
Um, but in this world where like women's happiness is at like all time lows, anxiety and depression are way up. Here's a movie about a simpler time with simpler rules, where just everything made sense, and and yeah, and if you want to say that I'm nostalgic, longing for something that never was, then yes, call me nostalgic. Um, it's better than like all of like these kind of nihilistic and pessimistic kind of stories that we get nowadays. Um,
Right.
uh, yeah, there's this movie that I really enjoyed. Don't get me wrong. Three Billboards in Ebbing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie, but the ending was a bit of a downer. Uh, and there's no like real kind of put a bow on it type of feel to it. And I'm not saying that that movie had to have that, but it just goes to the point of how how bleak and nihilistic the point of view of our society is these days.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's there's something, like I said, there's something to be said to a movie like this where it's just like it's sometimes it's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just nice and it's enjoyable. Yeah, this is is it old fashioned? Is there's are some of like the technical things a little outdated? Yeah, but still, a completely enjoyable movie.
I don't know. I felt good after watching the film. Like, yeah, it's you didn't feel like it's like oh that was kind of sad, or like, it's like yeah it was an okay movie, but like no, I actually felt like good after watching this.
Yeah, I mean, you felt like you felt like this optimism, you know, where it's like where you almost felt like you could have something like that as well.
Yeah,
I mean that's how I would describe it. I don't know if you would describe it the same way, but
yeah, no, I think that's a great description of it.
let's give our ratings and we'll close it out for tonight.
All right, sounds like a plan to me. You want to go first, Andy?
Okay, I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna go knife's edge. I'm gonna say 2.5.
You're gonna go 2.5.
Yeah.
I am gonna go with 3. Despite uh, despite the distracting John Wayne performance, um, it yeah, I don't know. I just something about I like this movie. It's like I said, I felt good after watching it. It's kind of it gives you a look back on what good traditional values may have existed, at least in some point somewhere in time,
Hmm.
because I know, like, this is there are times where there are these towns that exist where, like, this is what happens. Like I said, no town's perfect, obviously.
Hmm.
um but I think it would be kind of nice to you'd have some semblance of that in some way. um so obviously it gets you thinking about that type of stuff. And outside of the John Wayne's performance, which it was a good John Wayne performance, it just didn't belong in this film.
Hmm.
um the surrounding cast was great. It's like a lot of Irish stereotypes, but it was great. um I liked all the characters. I thought the scenery was nice because I think they did film this on location in Ireland.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know. Overall, I thought it was just a fun film. And if you're looking for something that's it's not quite a romantic comedy. It's a little bit of a drama. Um, this might be the movie for you. Like this, if you're into those type of films, this is your movie. And if you want to see a fun, you know, drunken bar fight at the end, this is your film.
Absolutely. All right, there you have it. That's our review of The Quiet Man. I give it a 2.5. Robert gives it a 3. Um, I would still say that we recommend this movie. If anything, just for a jolly, and if you just want to see like the most ridiculous fist fight in probably cinematic history, then
Oh yeah,
yes,
this is your
this
film.
is this is the movie. This is the movie for that. So yeah, do yourself a favor and check it out. Try not to get too distracted by John Wayne's accent.
It's John Wayne. He's not.
Yeah, there's no way of getting around it.
The
It's John
Oklahoman
Wayne.
from Pittsburgh.
All right, that was the last bit of the show for tonight. I will, just thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Chad Dirt on D Live. Hope you enjoyed yourself or enjoyed our conversation. Hope you come back again next week. Um, uh, don't forget to check out the library of other shows that we have. Circular Jerk's main podcast, of course. Be on the lookout for the latest episode. We have a buddy of mine, George Hilo. Hello? Hilo? I don't know. I always forget. I always get confused on how to pronounce his name. His last name. Because it's spelled Helo. So it could be Hilo or Halo or Hello. So, but yes, be on the lookout for that episode. It should be dropping next week. Don't forget to there's Trickle Jake's main podcast, Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts: Twitter at PodcastCOJ, Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast, and Letterboxd, the movie review site, or where we are Podcast COJ on that. And with all that said, I want to thank you again for joining us. We'll do it again next week, and we'll see you then. Don't do anything I would.